Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this special media briefing on the Political Declaration that was adopted yesterday here in Doha, Qatar at the Second World Summit for Social Development. My name is Martin Seman. I'm with the United Nations Department of Global Communications. And as I said, the Doha Political Declaration is a landmark outcome of the summit that represents a renewed global commitment to building a more just, inclusive, and sustainable society. The United Nations Secretary General referred to this declaration as a booster shot for development and a people's plan, putting people at the center of development. The declaration is the result of months of intergovernmental negotiations held at the United Nations in New York. And it was agreed by UN member states by consensus, which sends a powerful signal of shared determination and is a major milestone in the global effort to tackle poverty, create decent jobs, advance equality, and protect human rights. To quote the UN Secretary General during the opening plenary yesterday, he said, "True development isn't about prosperity for the few, it's about opportunities for the many, grounded in social justice, full employment, and human dignity." The Doha Declaration reaffirms the vision set out 30 years ago in Copenhagen during the first World Social Summit, while aligning it with the realities and ambitions of today, and also, of course, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It also strengthens commitments across a broad range of critical areas, which our three speakers will address at this press briefing. I am joined by Mr. Lee Junhwa, who serves as the Conference Secretary General and, of course, UN Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, and the co-facilitators of the intergovernmental negotiations, His Excellency Mr. Omar Hilal, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Morocco to the United Nations, and Her Excellency Ms. Sophie de Smet, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Belgium to the United Nations. Mr. Lee, you have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. Well, good afternoon, dear members of the press. Let me just say a few words as my opening remarks. Thank you so much for your time to join us second briefing on the Second World Summit for Social Development. I guess all of you followed the summit very closely since the opening. We met in Doha at a very critical time. 30 years after Copenhagen Declaration, and also the 80 years anniversary for the United Nations. So it is really a best timing. Just now, as a moderator mentioned at the opening session, member states adopted the political declaration by consensus, of course. This declaration comes at a very, very critical time when we are facing social, environmental, and economic, as well as political impacts on deepening inequalities, demographic shifts, and also the rapid technological and environmental changes. So the declaration itself is a collective reflection and pledge to strengthen the multilateralism and accelerate social development, leaving no one behind. Well, during this process, our two co-facilitators really drove the negotiation process in New York and outside New York. So we have this very strong commitment from the member states on how we could further deepen on our joint efforts for the social dimension. So declaration itself reinforces the commitments in critical areas from the 1995 Copenhagen Declaration and its plan of the action, including number one, poverty eradication, number two, the food and the productive employment and the decent work for all, number three, the social integration, together with gender equality and universal education and health care. So I definitely believe that it is shared among all member states attending this summit. The declaration established a new roadmap with a very strong the new commitment to tackle the urgent challenges from the food insecurity, digital transformation and artificial intelligence, to the climate changes and resilience, as well as the social development financing. That's the 4 key areas when Secretary General, in his opening remarks, he really focused on all those 4 areas. So United System, it's fully mobilized to support the member states in the follow-up of all those new commitments. My department, the Department of the Economic and the Social Affairs, will certainly to play a kind of a focal point among the UN system to see that how best our collective efforts could facilitate to ensure that the whole UN system or system-wide approach would be further enhanced to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda. That also build the vision from this Doha Political Declaration together with the previous political declaration or the commitment in Seville as a new impetus to advance our acceleration efforts for the 2030 agenda. I will stop here. Thank you.
Mr. Aguilar, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that the 2 kingdoms, Kingdom of Belgium and Kingdom of Morocco, are very happy over the very successful adoption of the final declaration yesterday. That's more than political declaration. It's a strong message of the unity of the world. When the international community united, obstacles became easier to overcome. And when the international is united, we can show that the UN can deliver. The UN can resist all attacks against it. UN can show that it's making or registering very successful results on the main or global issues, such as social development. 30 years after the Copenhagen Declaration, I think the Doha Declaration is continuum of what have been decided. It's not the same, but it's confirmation of what have been decided, but it's also improvement in terms of commitment, in terms of action, in terms of widening spectrum of issues that have been included on this declaration, because we have to show that this declaration is reflecting the expectations and the needs for our world of 21st century. So for us, it's a very successful story of the intergovernmental process that we started already almost 2 years ago. But the consensual adoption of this declaration sends, as I said, a strong message by the member states that have chosen cooperation over fragmentation and ambition in the face of doubt. They demonstrated that when we stand together, our differences fuel progress rather than impede it. We have also shown that the United Nations can still unite around a shared vision of social development, where the human is in the center, the human is the objective, dignity, human rights, development, solidarity are in the heart of the actions of what we managed to have with the consent and with the support of all members of the international community and members of the 193 members of the United Nations. One more element which is very important is that we managed to have this declaration agreed by the members 2 months before the Doha Declaration. It doesn't mean that it was easy to adopt, but we were lucky because we benefit of the cooperation, goodwill, engagement of all the members of the United Nations. And it was also the signal by every member, every group of the UN to show that they are keen to reach something positive, something strong. That's because people are waiting. There is more conflicts in the world. Poverty is increasing. Inequality also is enforced. And it was, I think, the right answer to the all kind of negative development that our world is witnessing. I would like to add that the Doha Declaration is a concrete manifestation of political continuum. The Doha is also clearly positioned social justice and social development as integral to peace, security, and sustainable development. This is a real milestone, underscoring that social development and social justice are mutually reinforced with peace and human rights. In shaping this declaration, and thanks to our engagement both with member state, civil society, that we met this morning, as we have met during all the process in New York and in Geneva, our work has the vision to deliver on declaration that is comprehensive, readable, and in simple wording that will reach people outside the United Building. It was very important for us that every citizen in every country can understand that what we have agreed, that's for them, and it's understandable. We are also proud of the strong Doha call for action targeting the three fundamental pillars of social development in synergy with other key action areas, as well as strong follow-up in three sections. First, on poverty eradication, we emphasize that ending poverty in all its forms and dimension remains our most urgent global obligation. The declaration also underscored the commitment to reach this furthest behind first and to support developing countries through enhanced international and inclusive development cooperation, capacity building, and inclusive financing to build resilience. This declaration stands out for embodying social development within the global financing debate. And this was actually a timely and important bridge to build with the compromise, the CV. To simply say that social development is no longer treated as a residual agenda, it is mainstreamed into financing for development. Two, on productive employment and decent work for all, delegation United Nations around scaling quality job creation, supporting transition from informal to formal labor, and enforcing international labor standard as set by the International Labour Organization. Three, on social inclusion, we reaffirm our collective responsibility to build inclusive and cohesive societies. The declaration reinforced commitment to promoting social integration based on principles of the respect for human dignity, protection and promotion of human rights, and principles of non-discrimination, equal opportunities, solidarity, tolerance, and full and equal participation of all. Finally, the declaration calls for further effort and action to end discrimination, racism, xenophobia, and exclusion, ensure equitable and inclusive access to education, healthcare, housing, and digital connectivity, and strengthen social cohesion. I can't miss the opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to all delegations for their constructive engagement, flexibility, and spirit of compromise. Their commitment to dialogue, to listening, and to finding common ground was essential to achieving consensus outcome. The last word will be to my good friend, USG Lee, for his cooperation, his assistance, and his team, very efficient team that helped us with documents, analysis, data, and organization of meetings. Without them, our work maybe would be more harder, and maybe we could not finish 2 months before the Doha Declaration, Doha meeting summit. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hilal. Over to you, Mr. Smith.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Ambassador Hilal and USG Lee have already mentioned it. We are all very happy, very proud as well that yesterday the political declaration was adopted by consensus. So 30 years have passed since the landmark Copenhagen Social Summit. And that is actually, in policy-making terms, quite a generation. So to grasp the magnitude of that span, consider this. In 1995, we still stored data on floppy disks. And today, we dictate reports to our phones using artificial intelligence. So the world has transformed, and it was high time to pause, reflect, and recommit on the Copenhagen Social Summit and what was achieved then. The Doha Political Declaration is not just a ceremonial nod to the past. It's a bold, forward-looking blueprint for the future. It builds on the legacy of Copenhagen. It responds to today's realities: rising inequality, despite progress made and lifting millions out of poverty, technological progress and disruption, geopolitical tensions, climate change, the urgent need for inclusive, resilient societies, and so many more challenges that have been described in the political declarations and in a call for action. The second World Summit on Social Development, that is hosted, by the way, with extraordinary dedication and focus by Qatar and by the United Nations. This second World Summit brought us together, and they brought together kings, presidents, ministers, civil society, diplomats, civil servants, politicians. And so during 3 days, we are all attending workshops, we network, we listen to each other's problems, and we try to find solutions. In Doha, we are reigniting a real global momentum for social progress, and that is very important. In Doha, we are all renewing our commitment to eradicate poverty, ensure full and productive employment and decent work, and achieve social integration for all. We did not arrive here by coincidence. We did not just think, oh, let's organize a summit on social development. The Doha Summit for Social Development is part of a broader constellation of global efforts, from the Sustainable Development Goals to the Summit for the Future, from the Education Summit to Financing for Development. Together, all those summits form a coherent strategy to foster peace and security through development, dialogue, and cooperation. All these summits were told on by many, prepared for many years by many, and the road to Doha, where we could think, mobilize our governments and UN institutions, negotiate the outcome documents, and make links between the different summits, was as important as this summit itself. So how relevant is Copenhagen still? And now that we have the Doha Declaration, well, its 10 commitments laid the groundwork for the SDGs. Its 3 pillars, poverty eradication, decent work, social inclusion, they remain central to the 2030 agenda. But Doha goes further. It adapts to those goals, to a changed world, and sets a clear path towards 2031. When the President of the 79th UN General Assembly, His Excellency Philemon Yang, entrusted Belgium and Morocco with co-facilitating the negotiations of the political declaration, we accepted the mandate immediately and with conviction, though I had just arrived in New York and was picking up my job as permanent representative in New York. Our countries have long championed decent work and social protection, and we are also both co-chair of a group of friends on decent work. So our tradition to work together at the UN goes back a while. Our 2 teams work together in full transparency, and I think this unity and this friendship, this trust between us, but also between our 2 extraordinary experts that are seated just there, Mariam Hamdoumi and Frederick van Petegem, they are a big part of our success. But if we were successful, this was really thanks to many, 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 many people. And maybe I will just cite 3 groups. The member states. We were all motivated to succeed and to continue progress on social development. Our success is every country's success. We all had to compromise on meaningful themes that were and still are important for our respective countries or our group of countries. I want to thank all the countries for showing that even on an all-encompassing topic, such as social development, we can still find consensus and we can still work in a true spirit of multilateralism. I would also like to thank the UN, the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, both presidents of the General Assembly, Their Excellencies Philemon Yang and Annalena Baerbock, and all UN bodies such as UNDESA, the ILO, and the UN Research Institute on Social Development. And I'm just naming a few of all of those who have helped us along the way. They have really helped us with their vision, with their research, their motivation, their expertise, and their enthusiasm. And last but not least, I would also like to thank civil society. They have spurred us on. They have shown great ambition and motivation to go as far as possible and to be as focused as possible. So, with trust, transparency, and teamwork with everyone I just named, the UN can still deliver with consensus. And reaching consensus, trust me, it has not been easy. But so what lays ahead of us? The Doha Declaration places social development at the very heart of global policymaking, not as a concern that is just like in the periphery of things, but as the foundation for lasting peace and shared prosperity. It reaffirms the essential goals of poverty eradication, decent work, and social inclusion, while aligning with key global frameworks such as the SDG summits, the Pact for the Future, the Addis Ababa and Sevilla agendas. It underscores that social justice cannot be achieved without peace, security, the protection of human rights, and gender equality. Governments are called upon to look at the structural roots of poverty and exclusion, reduce inequality, and build resilience against global shocks. Doha is not the end of the road. The real work lies ahead of us with national parliaments, budget decisions, community action. Each country must now translate these commitments into progress through policy, partnership, and political will. By 2031, we will revisit where we stand and how much progress we made. The Doha Declaration is not just a declaration, it's a plan, it's a blueprint, and it is up to all of us to shape how the future of social development will look like. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. De Smet and the speakers. The Doha Declaration is, of course, available online for those that wish to read it, which you should. Just visit the summit website to access the declaration. We now open up the floor to members of the press if you have any questions on the declaration or the negotiations. The lady over here, just wait for your microphone and please tell us your name, your outlet, and who the question is for.
My name is Sibel Bule. I'm from Echo IQ in Turkey. My question, well, actually, I have first a comment and then a question and to all of you. First of all, I want to join you in celebrating your success. The UN has proven very effective in getting nations to unite around agreements. I was in New York in 2015 when the 2030 agenda was launched, and I remember the excitement. I was in Paris when the Paris Agreement was launched, and I remember the excitement. Just today, I heard that we're going to miss the 2-degree target set by Paris. We already know that the SDGs are not on track, so I guess my comment is, yes, the UN is very effective in getting countries to come together and agree, but we're not doing too well on implementation. That's not on the UN, that's on all of us, I will say. So that's my comment. My question is, should we be looking at the Doha Agreement as maybe a blueprint for the post-2030 targets or programs to be launched? Thank you.
USG Lee, would you like to take the question first?
Well, thank you. Thank you for your question. I do agree with your comments that we, the United Nations, with the strong commitment from the member states, launched a number of very ambitious blueprint or the plan of the actions, including the 2030 agenda, including the Paris Agreement, and then also most recently the severe commitment for the FFD. Having said that, I also agree with you. In terms of our implementation record, certainly there's a gap there due to the various factors. So essentially, how we can better reshape our strategy to further implement those declarations, particularly this Doha Political Declaration with regard to advancing the social progress. I guess a number of key factors. Number one, whether or not we still have this determination and partnerships among member states to advance that. All in all, it's a political will behind this. Number two, whether or not we could have a strong national capacity to conduct and to implement all those commitments on the ground and introduce the difference to the outer general public. Third, whether or not we could mobilize sufficient financial resources and human resources behind the implementation efforts. Number four, whether or not we could conduct a very, very serious and sober review of our steps, our actions, and see how better we could further improve that. So I guess all in all, when member states recommitted themselves to the social agenda, they put their pledge there. So again, we'll see that in the coming years, we'll hope there will be much more different outcomes. Certainly, this political declaration goes beyond 2030. So that is why we are much more optimistic about the implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. We may have time for one question more. Otherwise, we will. Oh, would you like to add? Please, Mr. Erla.
Thank you very much. I just want to few words to our friend from Turkey. First of all, I would like to congratulate you because you were there where the history was written. So it's chance to be in Paris, to be in New York, and now in Doha. I believe that every document or declaration or convention has its own life and its own context, but there is complementarity. It's premature to say that Doha Declaration will be blueprint for the post-2030, that's what you said. I think it should start today, or when our leaders will go back to their capitals. And it has nothing to do with the other events. I think Doha Declaration is about society, about commitment by the government. And as my good friend, Ambassador Sophie de Smith, just said, it's the follow-up and the implementations depend on our national policy, depends on our parliament, depends on the strategy of development that every government will adopt independently of what they are doing for the 2030 agenda. We will have the review or assessment on 31st for this declaration, but we believe that it should not be the implementation of this very historic declaration should not be influenced by the delay or the problems that Paris Agreement have faced or what the 2030 agenda is facing up to now. I hope that there is three tracks, but in the end, they all meet together. But it depends on the political will, depends on the financing, it depends on the commitments, and it depends also of the international cooperation and technical assistance, especially for the country of the Global South. So there is a lot of elements or factors that will be needed to succeed in this. But as far as concern, for example, the agenda, the Paris Agreement, it was supposed to be financed by billions from developed countries. It didn't come. It's a little bit late. We have some finance now. We have many commitments that have been implemented. But the Doha Declaration is endogen implementation. It's national policy, national commitment, national society. It's not to country in the north to say to country in the south, you have to do this and this and this. It's political choice. And our government, our responsibles will be accountable to their parliaments, to their constituency. And this is very important. It doesn't depend on the international cooperation. But still, we need this cooperation. We need to share experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hilal. Mr. Smith, would you like to conclude the session for us? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, you know, it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint like if you want to build a big house, right? And so if you want to build a big house, well, of course, you need the fundamental things to put the basis there, and then it's work in progress. So it works in progress and it takes time. So countries will look at things and how to build that house with different speeds. And sometime as well, we will have differences of opinion about what it will look like and what shape it will take, right? But I really think that the leader showing up here in Doha shows that there is political will and that there is political commitment. Our Secretary General was here as well, so showing also the political commitment of the UN to deliver on this. So we will revisit this in 2031, and then every year, every 5 years from then on. And that is also a very big difference from Copenhagen, because we have a follow-up now. And so that also is very important, because then that holds us all the countries accountable. So I think that is really something that we can all look forward to. And in 2031, we will revisit this and we will see, okay, so how much has our big house evolved? Thank you.
Thank you to the speakers. That concludes our session. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Stay tuned for the next press briefing. Thank you.